When I was just a greenhorn, nobody told me about the eerie occurrences that took place here. I suppose the main reason was to avoid scaring me off completely, making me quit before I really got started. However, a few months into the job, while I still felt like the newbie, I ended up having drinks with a buddy of mine at a party, and he spilled some chilling details. Yeah, I reckon some odd stuff happens around here from time to time. The worst of it? People disappearing when they just couldn't have, or finding someone dead mere minutes after they were last seen. They were fine when I met them up on that ridge, I swear, that sort of thing. Like this one time last spring, I found a guy on a popular trail. Someone rushed into the visitor center, panic-stricken, saying there was a man lying in the middle of the path in a huge pool of blood. We booked it over there and found the guy, lifeless. His head looked like mashed potatoes, skull smashed in, brain spilling out like pastry cream. The guy was elderly, probably took a nasty fall. Happens often enough with seniors, nothing too out of the ordinary. Except where he fell, there weren't any large rocks, no stumps, logs, or even big branches, and no blood trail, so he died right there. First thought was murder, but there were other people around. They just didn't have him in their line of sight. If someone had approached him from behind and struck, someone would have heard something. And again, if it were murder, there'd be a blood trail. But everything at the scene suggested he fell and hit his head on a rock. So what the hell did he hit his head on? Then there was this other case about 5 years ago when I was working up north. Found a woman's body in the middle of a thick juniper bush. She was wrapped around the trunk as if hugging it. When we lifted her, it was like a damn waterfall poured out of her mouth, drenching my boots. She was bone dry, her clothes too, but the amount of water in her lungs and stomach was unbelievable. Pathologist said she drowned, despite us being high up, miles from any water. No puddles, no nothing. No sign anyone else was with her. Sure, could have been murder, but why go through all that? Why not just use a knife? I can't shake these oddities. Naturally, this all freaks me out a bit now, but back then, we were drunk, and I chalked it up to random happenings. Plus, I figured my buddy was embellishing a bit. I didn't want to talk about the next case, a horrible story. I did everything to forget about it, but as you know, easier said than done. It happened about 6 months after that bar conversation, and until then, nothing truly bizarre had directly involved me. The occasional mishap here and there, sure, but you quickly get used to it and stop seeing it as extraordinary. This case, however, was different. A young man in his 20s, living with Down syndrome, vanished on a busy trail. His family lost sight of him for just a moment. Naturally, he always stayed close to his mother, so the disappearance was alarming. His mother was convinced he was kidnapped. Regrettably, one of our rangers, no longer with us, implied nobody would kidnap someone with his condition. To put it mildly, it wasn't said with much tact. It took a while to calm her down and get the necessary information for our search. That's when we officially started the search operation. He wouldn't have survived long on his own, making the situation urgent enough to involve the police. We didn't find him the first night, which was heart-wrenching. Nobody wanted to imagine him alone in the woods. We assumed he was wandering, barely ahead of us. Helicopters joined the search the next day, spotting him in a small canyon. I helped bring him back, but his condition was dire. We all knew then that he wouldn't make it. He had fallen, breaking his spine, leaving him paralyzed from the waist down. Both legs were broken, his thigh was fractured, and he had lost a lot of blood. The isolation had terrified him. He was confused, likely worsening his injuries trying to crawl. I know this sounds awful, but as we flew, I asked him why he left his folks on the trail. There was little chance his mother could ask him herself, and I just wanted to give her something, tell her it wasn't her fault. He cried and mentioned something about a little sad boy who wanted to play with him. The boy wanted something in return, to let him go home. Then he just closed his eyes, and when he opened them again, he was in the canyon. I'm not sure if that's exactly what he said, but that's how I understood it. He kept crying, asking where his mom was. I held his hand, doing my best to comfort him. It was cold, he kept saying. My legs were frozen. The cold is inside me. He grew weaker, eventually stopped talking, and closed his eyes. Then, just minutes from the hospital, he looked straight at me, tears streaming down his face, and said, "Mom won't see me again. I love her. Wish she was here." He closed his eyes and never woke up. It was incredibly traumatic, a case I hate to recall. This incident affected me deeply, prompting me to seek guidance from a senior ranger. He helped me through it and, over time, shared one of his own unsettling stories. It troubled me greatly, but helped me realize I wasn't alone in experiencing these anomalies. I think this was before you started here. Had it happened while you were around, you'd remember. For some reason, it didn't make the news, but I believe most who've worked here long enough know about it. The park sold some land to a logging company, a highly controversial decision. Nonetheless, the plot wasn't large, didn't have old growth, and we needed the money post-crisis. Anyway, the company cut down the trees, and we got a call. Needed to urgently assist their staff. Not sure why, but they sent me and a few others along with management to see what had happened. Seemed important to show our numbers. We get there, and all the loggers are gathered around a freshly cut tree, visibly upset and scared. The foreman approached us, asking what we thought about the situation. "Damn it, what do you all make of this? Some sick joke? How dare you pull something like this when we bought this land fair and square?" We had no clue what he was on about. So he leads us to the tree, pointing at it, saying it was like this when they cut it down, and that none of them had stuffed anything inside. The entire tree was rotten and hollow. When they chopped it, they found the cavity, and inside was an arm, perfectly amputated, as if it had fused with the tree's interior. After that, we thought they were messing with us. We told them to stop bullshitting us and started to leave. But the loggers said they'd called the police and would contact the media if we didn't stay. That caught our boss's attention, so they stuck around to talk to the cops. Everyone denied putting the arm in the tree, and really, how could that have been done? The arm was clearly real, not mummified. It hadn't been severed for long, and it truly looked as if it had merged with the tree, emerging from it. The loggers insisted it wasn't planted. Somehow a fresh human arm had fused with a living tree. The cops made them cut out the section with the arm for transportation, and that piece was taken away, the area cordoned off. There was a pretty big investigation, but as far as I know, it led nowhere. Now it's just a legend, and to my knowledge, we haven't sold any more park sections for logging since. As you all know, I attended a training seminar recently and heard some astounding and horrifying things. One of the guys I chatted with shared this story while we sat around a campfire one evening. We were both quite drunk, naturally, and swapping stories. Here's what he told me. Me and another guy were out in the field because tourists had reported hearing screams and noises at night. So, we went to that area to find the damn cougar that had wandered in. There were 3 cougars known to roam near the camping sites at that time, and I was sick of dealing with them. Plus, I just don't like them. They're a thorn in the side, always making noise and scaring me shitless. Damn cats, pieces of crap. I'm venting about all this to my buddy, and he thinks it's a full-blown mutiny. Anyway, we find a bunch of broken branches. It all looks like a cougar's den, and we're almost certain we've located the beast. I check in with HQ, and they say they need confirmation, if possible. As you know, that just means they want you to step in a huge pile of shit. That's your proof. I didn't see anything in the den, so I just told them to go to hell, that I'm done for the day. We already know the damn thing's out here. I don't need to step in its shit, spit on it, or anything else. My buddy goes off to pee and I hang back, watching a small burrow under a tree. Thought I might see a fox or something living in it. I love foxes, man, they're damn cute. I'm watching this tree and start hearing branches cracking, coming from the opposite direction my buddy went. I've got a gun, but we both know it's no good against that cat. I cock the gun and yell for my buddy to haul his dumbass back, but he's too far out and can't hear me. I'm staring in the direction of the noise, and I'm not playing you, man. I nearly pissed myself. This guy comes flipping backward toward me through the damn forest. Instead of walking, he's doing these crazy fucking backflips, and I swear to God, he didn't hit a single damn log or bush in his way. Looked like he knew exactly where he was going. I yell at the guy to stop right where he is, that I've got him in my sights. But he keeps coming closer, and I just freeze up. I shot the ground in front of him, which was stupid, but I didn't want to be near this. When I fired, he was about 50 meters away. As soon as the shot rang out, he turned, and doing backflips again, moved back into the thick. My buddy heard the shot, came running back and asked what happened. I told him some fucking weirdo was jumping around here on who knows what drugs, and we should get the hell out of there as fast as we can. I told the cops everything, nobody fired me, and dude, I have no idea what that freak was on, but I've never seen anything like it before. It was complete madness. I guess we can all agree there's some devilry going on in these woods. I'm not ready to put forth any theories or assumptions just yet. I'd like for people reading these stories to understand how crucial it is to stay safe when you're in the park. I know many of you think you're invincible, but the fact is, you can die, get hurt, or go missing here much easier than you might think. I apologize for the relatively short update. I'll do my best to continue the series as soon as possible. And thank you for your continued support. It means a lot to me.